The silent marriage. 7. Signs you're growing apart. Most marriages don't end in a dramatic argument. There's no big explosion, no clear moment when everything falls apart. Instead, something much quieter happens. Conversations become shorter, laughter becomes rare. Time together starts to feel distant. You may still live in the same house, sleep in the same bed, but emotionally, you begin living separate lives. This is what many experts call a silent marriage. And if you're not careful, it slowly turns into something even more painful. A relationship that still exists on paper, but no longer feels alive. In this video, we'll explore 7 warning signs that a marriage is quietly drifting apart, and what couples can do before that distance becomes permanent. Growing apart rarely happens overnight. It happens slowly, through small moments that go unnoticed, small habits that quietly replace connection. And the earlier you recognize these signs, the easier it is to repair them. Let's start with the first one. Sign number 1. In a healthy relationship, conversation is how couples stay emotionally connected. They talk about their thoughts, their frustrations, their dreams, their worries. But when couples start growing apart, something subtle happens. Conversation becomes transactional. Instead of talking about life, you talk about logistics. Did you pay the bill? What time is the appointment? Who is picking up the kids? These conversations are necessary, but when they become the only conversations, emotional connection begins to fade. You're no longer sharing your inner world, you're simply coordinating your lives. And over time, that shift quietly replaces intimacy with routine. Sign number 2. Think back to the early days of your relationship. You probably shared everything, your ideas, your fears, your dreams for the future. Your partner was the first person you wanted to talk to. But when couples begin growing apart, something changes. You stop sharing those deeper thoughts. Not necessarily because you're angry, but because it no longer feels natural. Instead, you keep things to yourself. You process life alone. And when this happens repeatedly, emotional distance begins to grow. Because intimacy isn't built through proximity. It's built through shared inner experiences. Sign number 3, silence replaces comfortable presence. There are 2 types of silence in relationships. Healthy silence and disconnected silence. Healthy silence feels peaceful. You can sit together in the same room and still feel close. Disconnected silence feels different. You're together physically, but the emotional connection isn't there. Maybe one person scrolls through their phone, the other watches television. Hours pass without meaningful interaction. And slowly silence becomes the normal atmosphere of the relationship. Not because couples intentionally ignore each other, but because they no longer know how to reconnect. Sign number 4. Affection becomes rare. Affection is one of the simplest ways couples maintain emotional closeness. A hug, a kiss before leaving the house, holding hands. A gentle touch while walking past each other. These small gestures might seem insignificant, but they are powerful reminders that love is still present. When couples begin growing apart, these gestures quietly disappear. Not necessarily out of rejection, but out of habit. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and suddenly, affection feels unfamiliar. When physical warmth disappears, emotional warmth often follows. Sign number 5, you stop being curious about each other. One of the strongest predictors of lasting relationships is curiosity. Healthy couples remain curious about each other. They ask questions. How was your day? What are you thinking about lately? Is something bothering you? But when distance grows, curiosity fades. You begin assuming you already know everything about your partner. Conversations become predictable. Questions become rare. And without curiosity, the relationship stops growing. Because curiosity is the doorway to understanding. Sign number 6, conflict disappears, but not in a good way. Many people believe that less conflict means a healthier relationship, but that isn't always true. Sometimes couples stop arguing, not because they've solved their problems, but because they've stopped trying to be understood. They avoid difficult conversations. They let issues remain unresolved. They choose silence instead of engagement. At first, this might feel peaceful, but over time, unresolved frustrations quietly build beneath the surface. And that quiet distance slowly replaces emotional investment. Sign number 7, you feel more like roommates than partners. This is one of the clearest signs of a silent marriage. Your lives are organized. The household runs smoothly, Responsibilities are handled, but emotionally something feels missing. You coexist, you cooperate, but the sense of partnership begins to fade. Instead of feeling like two people building a life together, it feels like two individuals sharing space. And when couples reach this stage, many begin asking themselves a painful question. When did we stop feeling like us? Important truth. Here's the important thing to understand. Growing apart does not automatically mean the marriage is over. Many couples go through seasons of distance. Careers become demanding. Children require attention. Stress slowly takes priority over connection. But distance only becomes permanent when couples stop recognizing it. Awareness is the first step toward rebuilding closeness. Because relationships rarely collapse in one moment, they drift. And anything that drifts can also be redirected. If you recognize some of these signs in your own relationship, don't panic. Instead, start with something simple. Have one meaningful conversation. Ask one thoughtful question. Spend one intentional moment reconnecting. Small efforts, repeated consistently, rebuild connection faster than most people realize. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to The Connected Couple.